Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. Fukara, I advise you on the great matter that it was advised to me, the same advice that it was given to the people before me, which is follow Allah and obey Allah in His commands. Follow Him when you find it easy, and follow Him particularly when you find it difficult. For following Him when you find it difficult is the path of wisdom. It is in those circumstances that those that Allah has given them the opening will find closeness with Him. For those obstacles that we find in the path of fulfilling what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered are nothing but self-made illusions. It is therefore at that point that you have to stress your commitment and your desire to know, so that you can, in dealing with this matter, advance in knowledge of Him. And these are the two matters that they are of concern to each one of you, the matters of the Shariah and the matters of the Haqiqah, that they come together and they are not separated, and they never will be. And those who are deviated throughout the times have been always deviated on the same path, those who wanted to separate one from the other. And we are the people who join them together. Acting is the path of the people of wisdom. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, and the most hated is those who say what they do not do. For before you speak, you have to make sure that the things that you speak about are matters that are true to you. And that is the way to communicate and to lead other people. If the people don't listen to you, if the people don't follow you, don't concern yourself with their faults, concern yourself with yours, and make sure that the things that you are talking about are things that they have become yours in action in the first place. These are days in which a great part of the Sharia has been lost. Unique times on account of the fact that the political leadership has disappeared, the caliphate has disappeared. And this makes this time the darkest epoch in the history of Islam. And since then, only a continuous failure to restore what it is obligatory, and a continuous elimination of what was left, has brought us to the position where today not only muamalat has been eliminated, but it has been forgotten. And it has been forgotten by those people that you would expect that will know about it. I spent yesterday a great deal of time with the ulama of one of the only Islamic party in this country. And in speaking to them, I realized how much they have lost of these affairs. On their own admission, they did not know what muamalah. When I first inquired them about it, they started answering with the practicalities of the world that they are living in. The argument was that given the fact that we are living in this and such circumstances, then all we can do is. So they were giving me explanations about Islamic banks and Islamic insurance and Islamic democracy and Islamic parliament and Islamic parties and Islamic humanism on the basis that there is nothing else they can do. And they are right. Because if you look at what you can do, if you look at your hands, and you try to find strength in your hands, you will find only that you can do nothing. For it is true that we are totally incapable. But this is not why we act. We act because He is capable. We act because He is the wealthy, because He has the power. Our job is to measure ourselves with the wisdom of submission. And that is to say, I do it whether I'm capable or not. I do it whether I understand it or not. And it is in these conditions of submission that wisdom comes to you. Only for then, at that moment, to realize that nothing that Allah has declared halal, nothing that Allah has declared necessary is impossible for you. And take that as the greatest of all wisdoms, for within it you will find the strength to deal with almost every situation. What follows is nothing but what comes from this wisdom, which is to recognize that absolutely everything that surrounds us are the means to succeed in what we have to do. And here the difficulty comes into recognizing only the good things, to be in favor of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered, and not to recognize the bad things, to be in favor of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered. And yet everything, the good and the bad, according to our sight, they are all under the rububiyyah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there is nothing of this creation, nothing, without no exception, that is not under His authority and therefore submits to Him. And therefore, like everything else in creation, has been built bil haq. If you look at it with the eyes of wisdom, you will find nothing but another manifestation of His power. And therefore, there is not a second force. There is not an enemy force to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but only His force. In seeing this, you will find the strength, the understanding, and the means required to fulfill all your duties. It takes time to arrive there, and the path to arrive there is not one of reason. You don't arrive to this position by sitting down and thinking about it. You come to this conclusion by tasting this wisdom. You try this wisdom. You experience this wisdom. And you experience it with first steps, and then with more elaborate ones, and then with more courageous ones later on. And you move in the path, and that is why we speak about tariqah. Between the Shariah and the Haqiqah is the tariqah, which is traveling towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For Shariah, according to Ibn Ajiba, is worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Haqiqah is witnessing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And tariqah is traveling towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these are our affairs. The duties that they are before us, at first they look so immense that they overwhelm us. And the people before us have given us the clues to understand it, and in every circumstance to be able to recognize what needs to be done and where do you have to lean strong. In a time like ours, there are many faults and there are many errors. But our shuyukh have told us with clarity, they have said to us, deal with the big wrongs, and then you deal with the small wrongs. Therefore, the whole vast task which is before us is at first dealing with what is the big wrong. And even for that you need wisdom. But it's not the wisdom of the books, it's the wisdom of the heart. And the heart will tell you and will indicate to you what are the things to be done, what needs to be done.